That's the doorbell at Jimmy's house. Now, when you come to my house, my doorbell sounds like this.
Hey, you're listening to People's Radio United weekly show on peoplesradiounited.com. I'm Tim Best Buds. I'm here today with Nolan Hack and Gear from Top Gear Live. How are you guys doing? Sorry, what? You broke
We're
up.
both doing well.
Oh,
How are
okay. I'm fine. Yeah, so let's get started real quick talking about what everybody's working on. I know Nolan has a top secret project. You want to start with that?
Top secret, yeah. We got some going on in the fall. We're going to be doing it all over the country. It's attacking the growing ignorance in the United States in terms of the ignorant racism that's always been here, but because of Trump, it's being exacerbated. And this can happen in your city, and you can join this project. This can create a lot of positive change, and I mean a lot. So if you would like to be a part of this, you can email me at nolanhack, at nolanawhack@gmail.com, nolanawhack@gmail, or you could DM me on Twitter. My DMs are open at nolanhack on Twitter.
Yeah, that's a really important thing without giving it away. I think everyone who should get behind it, no matter what city or state you're in. You can definitely do something to help with this, and it's going to be a big thing. So, Gear, what's going on with you and Top Gear Live?
Well, I've been on vacation for a week, so I'm kind of like behind the times. I kind of ignored everything for a while, but I've been just keeping an eye on our fearless, hapless, feckless leader, quote unquote leader, who had a 77 minute, I don't remember, it was somewhere around there, ramble that sounded like he was incredibly intoxicated and just made very little sense. I feel very comfortable about the state of this nation.
Yeah, we're gonna get into that in a second. I think that's our first subject anyway to talk about. But yeah, me, Steve Shagwell, and St. Louis Gell did a 14-part. It's called the 14 Tenets of Fascism, and it's a 14-part series, and it goes through each one. What? Oh, it goes through each part. It goes through each one of these 14 tenets per episode, one each, and they come out one a day. And I think right now today we're on number 5, so you guys could check the playlist and listen to them all. I've been getting a lot of good feedback from them, so that's the big thing going on now with People's Radio.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean,
well done, guys. Undertaking. That's quite a bit of work.
Yeah, it's just really important right now. We had thought about doing it a while back, and things just didn't work out, and then we decided that it had to be done immediately. It's just we're watching them unfold before our eyes daily, and we had to get that out. So every day for the next, I think maybe 8 more days, there'll be one coming out.
Very cool.
Yeah, so
I guess I've been working on just free press, like supporting journalists. Recently, I've been really speaking out about people attacking journalists because it's just, we're your last hope, people. We're the great last hope for the truth. And the truth is the truth. There's no altering it. You can sway it. You can play with it. You can mess around with it like statistics. But at the end of the day, history will look back upon the truth. And we are on the right side of that truth, I feel.
It's funny you said that, because the other day I was looking at the Trump rally, because that was our first topic to talk about, and I was looking at all the people behind him with the smiles and the MAGA hats, and the one black dude who's been in a murder cult, now he's in the Trump cult.
Good.
But I was thinking, in 50, 100 years, when in history books, those people are going to look just like the Nazis look standing behind Hitler and cheering. It's not going to be a good look for them.
I think you're right. honestly.
They
And
don't
we're
even
seeing the
realize it.
Sorry. We're just seeing the racists crawl out of the woodwork. And, there's nothing like a president encouraging racism to see the racists crawl out of the woodwork and make America a very unsafe and frightening place for people of color.
Yeah, we also are seeing some good news today. Chris Cantwell, I think his name is, better known as the Crying Nazi. He's locked up. That little
I saw
bitch, that little bitch, piece of shit, base stickman Kyle, whatever his name is. He just went to court today and got put in jail. Talking so much
Was he
shit.
the little dude with the blue shirt on who was threatening everyone with his stick and his helmet on?
Yeah, what happened was in Berkeley when it was a bunch of
fucker.
students, who were much younger than him and inexperienced, he whooped their ass. When he came to LA on May 1st, he was hiding, cowering behind the police with the other Nazis and had a full escort to their cars, wouldn't come out the line. He was dressed in cosplay, dancing around like a fucking fool. But yeah,
Wow.
they're cowards. If they can't outnumber somebody or don't, or dealing with people who can't really fight back, they're big bad bullies. But when the people of LA had him surrounded, his stick wasn't doing shit for him.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Them police ain't always going to be there, and that guy's going to get his ass whooped, and that's just a fact. And I'm sorry if you hate me for saying, we shouldn't say punch Nazis and all this shit. That dude's going to get his fucking ass beat.
You're on People's Radio, Gear. We say kill Nazis here. But yeah, the thing about...
there's so many feelings. I don't know which ones I'm offending today. You know what I mean? Jesus Christ.
I don't
Well,
care.
if you're offending Nazis,
Yeah.
that's not really a bad
They don't
thing.
have the fucking Nazis. Fuck, they are not human beings. You're a fucking Nazi. Fuck you.
I fully agree. But yeah, I mean, that's
Sorry.
I even have the video where we yell and come across the street, you little base stick bitch, and he's hiding behind the police, marching with all the other Nazis to their cars as fast as humanly possible.
Well, I think we should just trust the president's words because he's always telling the truth. He said the other day in Arizona, our movement is a movement built on love. I think he left out the part of white supremacy, but he said a movement built on love. But we should all love each other, apparently.
I watched that whole, most of it. We were actually traveling back and I'm listening to this horrifying Hitler Youth rally go on. I mean, USA, USA, dude, chill the fuck out. We're already here. You're fine. You're good. Jesus Christ. Right? Am I the only one who thought that? Whoa, Hitler Youth rally, calm down with the USA, USA, USA shit. Not just that, but, CNN sucks. And all this other nonsense.
Well, that I'll agree with him. I'll agree with that last
don't
one.
watch.
CNN does suck, but especially since they've helped Trump, get to this point. They had
go ahead.
one plant. Trump had at least one plant on CNN before the election. So Hillary had one on a bunch of places, but it just says a lot that a Republican and a outwardly white supremacists can do that in this day and age, because you're not the unwritten rule in modern America. If you are in a position of power, you're supposed to think like Donald Trump, but you're not supposed to admit it. And he continues to admit it, which is just it's incredible.
There are many great people on both sides.
No, they're not. They're not. Many great people on the American side, the protesters, counter-protesters, people who were protecting the clergy, the people who were protecting the students. There were many great people on that side. And as far as I'm concerned, there's only one side. Honesty, truth, and justice. And Nazis are not part of that, so they need to fuck off. And nobody in this... It's 2017. What the hell is going on here? I thought we were over with this. This should be done by now. And I'm so fucking tired of fighting these assholes. My God.
Well, these assholes would have been here either way. I mean, these assholes are running the government, and in a
Yeah,
way,
right? We've known that. We've been fighting that. So
yeah.
I'm
But
not sure, why people are shocked that there are Nazis in the government. That there are white supremacists in the government. We've known that. It's been proven, right? It is known. Sorry,
yeah.
I didn't mean to interrupt. I'm
No,
really.
it's fine. That's what you're supposed to do when you're dealing with these people. But if the other side would have won, the blue side, the Democratic side, people wouldn't have been this outraged. We say this almost every show. People would have sat back
Yeah.
and let the fascism take hold. And there might not have been so many blatant Nazis coming out of the woodworks because
There wouldn't be.
the president would have pretended not to support them while screaming about super predators and every other damn thing.
I said it, I think it was last week. If Hillary had won, there'd be no talk of impeachment. And this is a woman who is, it's just, the list is so endless. She's killed children. She's killed nonviolent environmental activist Inverta Caceres. She's put up child death squads in Sudan to kill other black people. I mean, just it goes on. And the crime bill, which is still killing colored people. But
And imprisoning. Lest we forget the school to prison pipeline here in America for many black men and women,
my friend,
and Native men and women, and Mexican men and women.
This goes on. My friend Kevin Cooper, who Tim has talked to himself and done a number of shows, great shows about Kevin Cooper and giving out the information about him. Black man, he's almost 60. He's been on death row for over 30 years. He's still in prison and on death row, even though 5 federal judges, this is unprecedented, have preached to his innocence. And one of the reasons why he's still in there, a major reason, is that frickin' crime bill, because it has a terrorism clause that blocks habeas corpus. If you are convicted, you can't get actual evidence out, even if it proves your innocence.
Yeah.
So that's, I mean, and I'll admit, the fact that people are so shocked by Nazism and racism being so prevalent still in today's society is driving me a little crazy. I mean,
me too.
George Washington was the founder of this country. He killed Native children. He killed Native women. He destroyed their cities. This is your father.
Abraham Lincoln, who everyone lauds as a human rights activist, the Dakota 38. He hung 38 Dakota men.
Plus 2 other natives.
Yeah. And, that alone is a vile war crime. But, he is lauded as the great emancipator while killing thousands of Native people,
They used a quote from him, and this building's right next to the White House in D.C., at the Department of Veterans Affairs. So you have a man who helped continue Native genocide, as you just mentioned, said in front of the nation at one of the debates to get him elected, said that black people were inferior and should not hold any offices where you would need intelligence or critical thinking. And he is he's on the $5 bill, he's on the penny, he is a Lincoln Memorial, blah blah blah. Jefferson raped a child slave. But then you go just recently, Hillary Clinton, Bill Clinton, Joe Biden. Biden drafted the dang crime bill. Biden and Hillary both have taken money from Donald Trump. I mean, this is all... racism is racism. And white people are not going to get this. They're going to continue to fall over themselves, whether they care about us or not. But it doesn't matter if it's left-leaning or right-leaning or in the center or whatever. If you are hurting somebody because they are a different race, that is racism. That's the end of the discussion. yet this resistance and resist, and it's gobbledygook. I mean, it's like the New Deal. It's like the Bernie Sanders movement. It's for them. It's not for us.
It is. I've seen it.
Out of the equation.
Even though they're allies and they help, they still don't get it. They don't get the fucking basic fact that when they walk in a store, they don't get looked at.
Mm-hmm.
They get welcomed. When I walk in a store, I get looked at. I get followed. That's racism. You have white privilege. That is a simple fact of this country and this society and all of the constructs around it.
And that's
period.
the other thing. Oh, go ahead.
They can't accept that. If they can't accept that basic tenement, then they can't move forward, and we're never going to get anywhere.
Well, that's the other thing that a lot of people don't want to admit, of any color, that those particular liberals, white liberals, to quote Malcolm X, is the two most dangerous words in the English language, white liberals. But they don't want to get it. Most of them do not want to get it because they, whether they want to admit it or not, are above us. They don't want to give up that white privilege. They still want to say the N-word when they're listening to Jay-Z in the car with their black friend. They still want to say the R word when they watch the NFL every Sunday. They still want to do all these things. They can't
change the name. Yeah, they still do. Sorry, I interrupted again.
No, you're right. I mean, they still want to be ahead of us. And I mean, you could, I broken record, but people make you a broken record. And I know, Gary, even more so than me, I mean, being a woman and Native and dealing with all this. But it's like being a man. We don't want to give up our power and privilege over women. That's why we continue to shut the mouths of women and not let them talk, when we should just shut up and listen and try to understand what they continue to go through, what we put them through. Trans people, when they try to speak on their experiences and their hell that cis people that we put them through. I mean, and all this stuff is connected. This is Western society. This is the United States. And this America was founded on Nazi-like principles. I mean,
destiny.
Yeah, the manifest destiny. I mean, somebody. I'm not the first time I've seen this, and it's Twitter, but this is a representation of the American public. Someone said yesterday on Twitter, and I think they were in college, and they said, Columbus didn't kill anybody. He was just an explorer. And I'm just like, are you...
What?
And I just replied, okay, well, Hitler didn't hurt a fly. He was just going on a tour of Europe, showing Germany all the different countries in Europe. Yeah, that's they don't want to admit this place is really that bad. I mean, you can have all the material stuff you want. You can have your Grammys, your NFLs. You can have your MTV Music Awards and your Oscars. That does not erase the constant harm that you put marginalized people through. And they don't want to get out.
You know what I think? I think we need to get out of the R's, the resist and the resistance, and we need to go to the D's with devastate and destroy.
I like it.
That's what needs to happen. Resisting doesn't do anything for you. It just stops somebody from maybe hitting you. It's like putting your hands up or pushing, not making sure someone can't push you back any further. But if you're already so far back, what does that matter? Destroy them.
Right?
Devastate them. Dismantle them and get freedom for everybody. But what's
That's
good...
the only way.
Yeah, what I do like, though, is how every time, the biggest racist Nazi Klan rally in Charlottesville in a long time, this is the biggest one they've had in quite a few years, it was vastly outnumbered by the people opposing it. And they had to resort to terrorist acts to try to even, make themselves be heard, which sucked. But at the same time, even when this fascist Nazi president shows up in Arizona, his crowd is outnumbered by the people in the streets. I know he claimed he had 15,000 and he counted all the people in the streets that were protesting him, but those aren't the facts. The facts are people are starting to stand up, and they're really outnumbered. And we need to keep this going. If Trump leaves office, no matter who goes in, if there's a Democrat or Republican, if they're not with the people, they're against us, and we need to fight that. We need to devastate that. We need to never let this happen.
That's going to be
we need to decolonize, too.
Well, yeah.
We need to decolonize this shit, and that's how we do it. If you decolonize your mind first and foremost, then you can move forward from it. Because this Western way of thinking is a destructive way of thinking. You're constantly worried about your self-esteem and where your next money is coming from, instead of actually living the true life that the Creator wants us to live, which is to be happy with each other and understand that we are related to every single thing on this planet and in this universe, and that we're all one, honestly. So these racists are just hurting themselves.
And you brought up another D. The fourth letter of the alphabet could free us all. You said decolonize.
Yeah, to me, that's the most important one, because this voted out nonsense that just boils my blood is going to keep getting us killed. And I was looking at all the money that Trump has donated to different political campaigns, and it was so many. He used to be a Democrat until like 5 years ago, or 10 years ago, whatever it was, and so many Democrats. So if you actually buy into the voted out thing and you hate Trump, then you are possibly going to support somebody that Trump has helped, and Trump has them in his pocket. And the decolonize thing is so important, because unless America falls, we're still going to be in this mess. But again, they don't want America to fall, because they still, want what they have. They still want the glitz and the glamour. They still want their white privilege and their power over us. And Heather Heyer, it's sick that she was killed. And if there's a true right ally, she's it. But then at the same time, that goes to the white comfort factor. The white people being on the top, and they don't want to give that up. Just in the since then or before, you've had 3 black kids that we know of killed by the police since July 25th, all before Charlottesville happened. Camonte Cobbs and Darren Neal. Camonte was 15. Darren was 17. Aries Clark, he was killed in Arkansas, and just like so many, Paul Castaway being one of them, his mother called for help because he was being too rambunctious, and he was a 15-year-old kid. Cops decided to kill him. My people in Sierra Leone, hundreds of us dead, mass graves, over 100 children dead, and that number is growing. The foreign media is actually blocking black people, citizens of Sierra Leone, from going to funerals because there's too many of us, and we're not, sorry, you can't come in to see your cousin or your friend or what have you. In India, there are over 10 million people in trouble. Hundreds are dead. But, they're not white. Ben Kiete, he was a Muslim teenager. This was, I think, back in May. And he was found hung in the woods, dead in Seattle. This is
in Seattle?
Yeah. Lake Stevens family. They asked the FBI to investigate. Of course, I don't think have to this point. And this is a teenager. He was 18 years old, black Muslim, but did not hit the news cycle. Still hasn't. We've heard Heather Hayer's name 100 million times, as we should, but that should be everybody's name who's taken like that, who's killed in that manner or dies in a tragic manner.
We rarely hear about DeAndre Harris, who was beaten almost to death. And those people, as far as I know, none of them have been arrested.
Yep, none of them.
They need to be.
Of course, they should. I mean, you're almost killing somebody. I mean, Yemen, there's 10 million children in Yemen that don't have water, don't have food, don't have any sanitation, and they're on the brink of death. But
cholera outbreak really badly. I think 1 in 4 kids are going to die under the age of 5 from the cholera outbreak, but we don't give a shit.
Yeah. And we'd be much better off with Hillary, even though she's a big reason why that's happening. She gave $30 billion of weapons to Saudi Arabia, which is, aside from the U.S., the one bombing the hell out of Yemen.
Yep.
Where are these pro-life people that love the babies? Where are they?
The white babies.
Oh yeah, that's what it is.
Unless it is a alt-white or like overt racist who goes, no. Are you talking about genocide and black people? No. What about all the abortions that your women have? That's the one they like to throw out as well. But
where's the sense in that even? I mean, it doesn't even. You're so fucking stupid. Just shut your fucking mouth for fuck's sake. My God.
It's deflection. It's ignorant deflection. And it's the same stuff. It's from those people. It's black on black crime, your fault. So you should fix that before you talk about, your kids and your mothers and your fathers dying. The cops, you killing the cops, even though preschoolers are in more danger than police officers are in terms of guns. But that's just how it's deflection. It's like the Russia thing, Comey, taking away from much worse things that Trump are doing. Hillary and the emails. I mean, I was just like sitting back during this election. Are you freaking kidding me? She's killing our children every single day on multiple continents, and you're talking about emails? Are you out of your mind? But that's just ignorant deflection. But I mean, it's on and on and on. I mean, there were 5 people killed by the cops on the 22nd, 5 people killed by the cops on the 21st. None of that hit the news cycle. White Americans did not care. Thomas Williams, 34 years old, brother in Florida, he was killed on the 5th. The cops to this point still haven't said how he died. And a witness said he wasn't bothering anybody. And he wasn't hurting anybody. But the cops decided his life didn't matter. So he's dead. But again, no coverage of any kind. Syria is being, like Yemen, just bombarded with weapons and death and destruction. 20,000 people are stranded in the Syrian city of Raqqa alone, according to the UN, which is in the United States pocket. Raqqa is the worst place on earth. It is so just decimated. The UN says the worst place on earth, and yet the United States continues to just pelt that thing with bombs and bombs and bombs and bombs.
Yeah, we're gonna. Oh, go ahead.
If this was happening in Russia or Belgium or Scotland, number one on the news. Number one, all those things I just mentioned, number one on the news. But because these are colored people, colored countries, especially when you're talking about black people in other countries, so this one doesn't matter. I mean, and your people are trying to protect the earth down in New Orleans. They're trying to build another pipeline, and there are dangerous people there, just like Standing Rock, and nothing on the news. I have to hear this on
all over
Facebook.
So many.
Yeah. Oh,
Well,
there are. Yeah.
what I think one of the main problems is, I know Gear in a minute is going to kind of go into the Trump speech, and that's relevant. But and this is why I think, because as citizens here in the United States, we don't have say in our own, and the way the government handles our own lives. You know, we have no say unless we're rich, very, very, very rich. So I think a lot of people are like, we're just trying to survive here and stay alive here, you know, in the United States. And once we can figure out how to do that and get our government on track, if we even, I don't think we need a government, but let's just say we do, get them on track with human rights and everything else, then we can focus on other countries. And I understand it's just as important, but I think that's what a lot of people think. And we got a president who doesn't give a fuck. But real quick, let me go. We got a lot of people in the chat here. Steve Shagwell, he just said Trump just sold the Saudis 150 billion in weapons. Oh, and Top's in here now. So hi, Top. How are you?
I'm all right, man. You?
Sorry, we just ignored you so long. I forgot you were here. But then
Sorry?
Gail had said that warrants have gone out for the beating of DeAndre Harris. She's not sure if there were arrests yet. And she also brought up Kiwi Herring is being killed by the police. And real quickly about that, I've seen you arguing with a bunch of trolls online nonstop, Nolan, about that. And the thing about it is, we've said this before, we don't really need to go into detail about it, but they say she had a knife. Let's say that's the fact. In every other country, police can take down a person with a knife without blowing them away and killing them. These police have tons of non-lethal options. They have tasers, they have vests, they have shields, they have mace, they are tear gas. They have a lot of things other than the gun, but somehow when it's a person of color, the first thing that happens is the guns come out, threats, and then a murder. I mean, there are white people. These are, you could look them up online. It's happened. One guy shot a chief of police. A white guy shot a chief of police, was taken into custody. This happens all the time. White people with guns don't get killed. Black people with knives or nothing, a wallet, a popsicle, a bag of Skittles get murdered.
Yep. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm over here like, oh, white people with guns in Nevada can fucking take on the government, but it takes a guy burning himself to half to death to get any fucking attention for the Shoshone. So there's that, you know.
Oh, definitely.
I hate the Bundys a lot. The Bundys are that is such a blatant racism, just right there.
Yeah. That's the perfect one.
The perfect example.
Yeah.
There you go.
They
Bundy
were fighting
Ranch
with the FBI and shooting at them.
and the BLM and all these others. And listen, I want y'all to look up the Western Shoshone Defense Project and the Dan sisters. The Dan sisters have passed on. They walked on a while ago. I don't know when, but they were fighting the BLM for similar things for 30 fucking years. And then these assholes with guns and Nazis show up and it's all over the news. You know how offended I was? I bet if you were a friend of me on Twitter at the time, you did. It was just unreal. It was just so fucking racist. And then now they get off. No, absolutely not.
Yeah, we brought this up a week or two ago. They had guns aimed at police and or federal agents, and the agents backed down. When would they ever do that? I've seen a video of two black dudes in L.A. that came out with rifles, and they said, we're not here to cause any problems. We're here to protect our people. You know what happened? They got surrounded by police, and one of them got shot. I don't know when this was. It was maybe a year ago or 2 years ago. They weren't doing anything wrong. They were just walking like any other white dudes that have guns. I know California laws, and I know we've talked about the NRA and how they didn't want black people to have guns. But these were legal guns, and they were rifles, and they were carrying them. And they were surrounded by police, helicopters everywhere. It's not the same. It's so disproportionate.
And
if there were guns at Standing Rock, that would have been a fucking bloodbath. Those assholes would have opened fire and killed every single person there. That is my true forecast there, or whatever.
I
mean, they would have. That's why the elders were so adamant about peaceful prayer, because they have been through it. They remember AIM, you know. They remember the whole thing. They remember the shootouts and all the shit. So they don't want any of that anymore. That's why they asked Anonymous to stay away. They didn't want any trouble, and they still got trouble. Peaceful prayer met with water cannons with poison in them and, rubber bullets and primed hand grenades. Oh, I'm sorry, non-lethal. Yeah, well, it still destroyed people's lives. So,
yeah. There was to your point about Native people protecting, their own land. Granted, the whole country is Native land. But in 1979, some black folks were forcibly removed in jails, unarmed, after they tried to occupy a wildlife refuge, which we owned in the first place because a white plantation owner had ceded the land to a former slave after the Civil War and other freed slaves after their descendant moved to the area known as Harris Neck. This is in Georgia. So it doesn't really matter what, law, rhyme, reason, logic, if you're talking about people of color and white people in the same sentence, especially if you're talking about black and or Native people, whatever needs to be done for the country and white America to get ahead, that's just going to be done. And that's what people need to recognize, or, people like Trump are going to keep being elevated to power. And there's been, that's the other thing. There's been people like Trump in Congress, or in the Oval Office. Harry Truman, for one, Ronald Reagan. So this whole stuff being so new, it's not new. Robert Byrd was a congressman for decades. He was a former Grand Cyclops of the Ku Klux Klan. He was a senator, and who, by the way, was a friend and mentor of Hillary Clinton. And Hillary actually said very kind words using I think it was a Secretary of State website to get the video out. But this was when she was Secretary of State, and she's eulogizing a former Grand Cyclops of the Ku Klux Klan. Yet this is somehow new in America.
I don't think it's new. I know it's not new, but I think a lot of people, first of all, people here don't know history because they teach them shit in school. And second of all, Trump is really, really, really blatant. These other people didn't have Twitter to get out there and spew their racism. They weren't having rallies that were publicly, nationally televised, like Hitler-esque kind of rallies like the one in Arizona. And I think he just fuels it. These racists feel so emboldened right now to come out. And they don't even see themselves as being racist. They just hate black people, Muslims, Mexicans, and everyone else who's not white. That's not racist. It's how you're supposed to be. It's America. But yeah, Gear, you saw this speech. Let's get into that real quick. I know Top is full of angst right now.
It's a shit day, mate. A shit day. Hi.
Hi, Top.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
But yeah, that speech, that was set up to embolden racists and divide people. There's no way that was there to unify anybody. Unless I'm wrong, I didn't see that.
It was like watching a Hitler Youth rally. Somebody just asked, who's that lady that's so angry? That's me. I'm Gear. Hello. I'm very angry because I don't like racists. I have to deal with them on the daily, yo. But you're spot on. I am angry. Oh, watching that oh my God, that speech. It was just a rambling, ridiculous, long, stupid thing where he was complaining. He spent about a half an hour complaining about the media coverage of his tweets on Charlottesville. That was what it was set up as. It was the beginning. And it was like 29 minutes, seriously, on I tweeted this, and they said, why didn't he do it earlier? Why didn't he do it sooner? But I did. I said this. Doesn't that say that I don't like racists? Okay, tremendously. He sounded drunk. The crowd was chanting these crazy, like Hitler Youth Rally-esque chants, you know? It was unreal. It was like, we're listening to it in the car, so it's in surround sound, and I'm just hearing these crazy people, Trump, 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 Trump. And I'm like, you already won. Why are you doing this? It's just to divide and conquer. It's that simple, you know?
I've got a question, because it seems as if he's on a suicide campaign. Now, I understand he's fomenting support from his own base, and that's why he goes out. He's still effectively electioneering, isn't he? But
yeah.
His base is shrinking. He's not going to get elected again. I don't think he's looking to be elected again. I think he's just here to destroy everything and fuck off. That's literally what I think he's doing.
It's not a bad theory, because he's done that to his own businesses more than a time or two. I think it depends if you're right on there, if you're dead on there, then yeah, okay, just burn the thing to the ground and then leave. But if he wants to stay in, I think he'll stay in. There's 60% of Trump supporters say or 62%, whatever it is, they'll never stop supporting him. Over 50% of Republicans say they just negate an election to keep Trump in, which if talking about Nazism, fascism. So
he also rewrote history. He erased history from one speech to the next, which was absolutely mind-blowing. He stated that the fake news misquoted him. And then he literally took out exactly what he said the day before. He's reimagining reimagining the news in his own vision.
That's a daily thing for him.
Yeah, I mean,
I think
it was
crazy.
It was like watching your drunk grandfather babble for 71 minutes about like he did not tell your aunt she was a whore. Really?
Yeah, well, my drunk grandfather fought Nazis, so.
So did mine.
He wasn't drunk. I just, yeah.
You know, it's funny that you say that because I changed my picture on all my social medias to one of my grandfathers who fought in World War II. Like, we've already done this shit, guys. Mm-hmm. You know?
Well, we defeated a different form of white supremacy. We never quashed the one here, let alone admitted it was a thing, or I shouldn't say admit, because in the past, presidents, leaders have said they want to keep this as the status quo, but they, recent times, have pretended it's not a thing anymore. But we've been in this pattern for, in terms of the official date, 1776. In terms of what the United States are in terms of all the land, Jamestown, early 16th century, and if you go all the way back to 1492.
Yeah, you can go back to when DeSoto came to my nation, you know?
There you go.
You can go all the way back to that, and you can go back to Cristobal Colon showing up and skinning babies and hanging them from the trees in the islands before he got here. So he's not a nice man. Read his journals. He says it himself in his own words.
Isn't that the amazing thing? All this stuff is documented. Washington, Jefferson, Columbus.
Yeah.
Just keep going with them. And they're all, whether it's diaries or logs, first-hand accounts, whatever. And yet the ACLU is one to say that George Washington versus, a Confederate soldier, they're completely different. They're two different things. Not really. It's supposed to, and I like to make this point. The Confederacy and America in the Revolutionary War, same damn thing. America fighting the British, one of the main reasons they fought the British was to keep chattel slavery, keep black people enslaved, and to continue Western expansion, that is, white splaining for native genocide. British didn't want to keep that going because it's too bloody, we have enough land, blah, blah, blah. And then, of course, Civil War. Union goes,
And
oh,
you know
wait.
what?
Yeah.
I need to tell you guys something that you may not know. It's very little known fact that my nation, who actually we are called a different name, but the Cherokee Nation, was very involved and fought on both sides for the Confederacy and for the Union, both forced on both sides to fight. So they had to fight their own brothers in a war that wasn't theirs for, their own territory, because this all happened in our nation. That's our traditional lands right there. Georgia, they didn't kick us out of Georgia until like 1850 something when they found gold. Then we started the Indian Removal Act, and it was really easy for these plantations to start on Cherokee land because we were an agrarian society. You think of Native people and you think of that Lakota thing, the guy on the horse on the plains hunting the buffaloes. That wasn't us. We had log cabins. We lived on farms. We grew cotton. We grew corn, beans, and squash. Our men were hunters. Our women did the planting and all of the harvesting and did all of the farming. And our men did the hunting. And that's how we lived. And we had homes. So it was easy for these people to come in, kick us out of our beautiful homes, and start building their plantations on Cherokee land. So most of those horrifying slave plantations are a double offense to people like me, because it's not only the horrifying slavery effect, but it's the fact that they did it on our sacred ancestral homelands, and they stole our lands to start their plantations. So that's something that people don't know about our nation.
You know what? I was talking to Steve Shagwell, I don't know, maybe a couple days ago. And hi Gail. Gail's in here now, I think. Just to let everybody know.
Hi.
Hi.
Hey,
Maybe Gail with her super statistical knowledge might be able to help us out with this really easily. But I think people don't realize that we can easily win this whole thing. And all you got to do is do a little math. How many people are in the country? About 330 million, something like that?
Yep.
About 320, yeah.
Okay. How many people voted for Trump? About 51 or
62 million.
62 million. That, I think they're vastly outnumbered.
They are, but you have to add on liberals. You have to add on moderates. The
liberals and the moderates aren't the ones screaming about civil war if Trump gets taken out and they have their guns and they're going to kill people. Those people could be dealt with separately, maybe even talked to, and argued with. What?
I honestly do. I think that most of those people can be decolonized. They want to be decolonized. That's the other thing. They really do.
Yeah, but I'm saying the hardcore whack job, Nazi psycho, Trump
those
voters.
Guys, no, they're fuck them. No.
They're vastly outnumbered.
There's so many other people, I believe, that, these liberal allies, I think they can be decolonized. I have a lot of hope for that,
I do too. And if they're not, then we can deal with them too.
Yeah.
But that's what people don't realize. They're always like, look at it's all red here. Those are the people who fucking voted for one of the two evils.
Right.
You know what I mean? The rest of us, the majority of us, didn't fall for that bullshit. We're like, we're not gonna pick either one of these evil fucking creeps. So, we outnumber them in a big, big, big way. And I think they need to shut the fuck up talking all this Civil War shit, because they will be devastated.
Yeah, they would be crushed.
Enough of them. Sorry, I cut you off.
No, I'm disagreeing. I'm just agreeing with you all that they would be crushed pretty quickly. In terms of the people who actually buy in fully to that, Civil War, black babies are demonic. And some white woman, they posted on Twitter that she says that black people should be wiped out again. That stuff, yeah, that's a very small minority. Those people, yeah, they don't have the numbers.
Yeah, that's just what it is. And these white people need to go to the front of the line and put their asses on the line for this. If you believe in what you're talking and you believe in equality for everybody, then you need to get your ass on the front lines, not standing on the back on Twitter saying, "Oh, let the black people, Mexican people go fight the Nazis." No, get on the fucking front lines. I mean, because that's what the police do when there's a big giant and they're outnumbered in a racial kind of rally thing, especially down south. They'll throw all the black cops up front. So we need to throw all the white people up front. You know what I mean? And put your money where your mouth is. If you stand against racism, if you stand against this Nazi fascist shit, get up to the front of the line. That's what I'm thinking. And it needs to happen more. It's happening a little bit more, but that's what needs to happen. People need to put their money where their fucking mouth is.
Well, that part I'll disagree with you guys with, because I'm half white, so I know white people really well, and most white people, and I would include just the general populace, just because how Americanized everybody is, but just sticking with the white folks, most of them don't, like I said before, they do not want to get it, because to completely cross over and decolonize, they would have to admit that the place that they live in, that they were told and they believed, is awful. That they were told how great this land is and God bless America and all this stuff, and they'd have to admit the entire table is toxic. And I've seen, whether it's on Twitter, whether it's at a protest, whether it's people, I've dealt with close people in my life, still wanting to hold on to that privilege. And say whether if it's a person, like Hillary's a great example, if it's a system, if it's a party, the Democratic Party, whatever it is, it's just a complete defense, and they just grabbing a hold of that. And then the thing that really turns me off to that, aside from the fact that someone like Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, both said exactly what I'm saying right now, but what really turns me off to having faith in white America as a whole, not in any individuals, is that they minimize the pain that we go through, the trauma that we're born with, and the past that we've had to go through. And that ESPN had a skit in the last couple of weeks, because the NFL is coming back, football is coming back, so fantasy football is very popular with sports fans. So they had something called an auction draft, which is a thing in fantasy football, but they did it where they have an auctioneer and then an audience, and then they had like a paddle with a player's face on it. The auctioneer held. So basically it's like, how much you want to pay for this black player in an auction, which obviously trigger, if you're black, and I did see that in a lot of other black people, so it triggered me back to, slavery. I do believe we can take this thing down. I believe everybody who does this show is a part of that. To quote Martin Luther King, the most patient black person in the history of existence, unless Jesus was black, it's a whole other story. Martin said, the white moderate poses the biggest danger to black people. And even in the quote, he said, not the KKK, the white moderate, because they let all that stuff go to protect their country, protect the way of life, protect America. Unless America falls, we're still going to stay in this mess.
I fully agree. But what I was saying was that needs to not be the case. If you notice, when a white person gets hurt, whether it's in Standing Rock or in Charlottesville, that's when all hell breaks loose and everybody gives a shit. These people need to put their lives on the line for the people that will be attacked if they're not there. And they need to get over whatever fucking they got holding them to this white supremacist bullshit. The whole system is supremacist. They need to realize that and say, fuck it. We're going to stand with the oppressed people no matter what. If it takes us giving our lives, we'll give our lives. That's what has to happen. And if they're not willing to do that, then fuck them. That's what I'm telling you right now.
I'm with. They should. They should. I mean, they should, but they're not. Until that day comes where the truth is completely undeniable. It's in the paper every day. You know, Aries Clark, a 16-year-old black kid getting killed by the cops. That is on the USA Today front page. They can't hide from it anymore. Until that day comes, they're not going to do that. And look at when Trump won. And I had friends in different parts of the country going to those women's marches. And I'm hearing from one friend that, and these are Native friends, that, we were praying, not bothering anybody, minding our own business in the D.C. protest, and then white people came over and was disrupting our prayer and laughing at us. And in that same protest, you had white people and white women who say, equality and F Trump and all that stuff, but they're wearing Washington Redstler apparel. Like, wait a minute, you're obviously not for all of us, you're just for y'all, white women. Another one, Tim and I's own city in Los Angeles, no Native women were called to speak. LA is one of the top urban populations for Native people in the country. No Native women were called to speak. And this is a theme all over the place. And look at Charlottesville. And all the tragedies we talked about before that have been going on since before Charlottesville or after, that none of that stuff matters. And you just keep hearing resist and F Trump and it's all the GOP's fault. And they're not. I mean, they're not going to do that. They're not going to get it. And it's shameful. It sucks, but when you're that brainwashed and you're that much in a colonizing mindset, the reverence won 3 Oscars. DiCaprio's been waiting for an Oscar his entire life. He finally got one, and when he got one, it was this anti-native racist BS that treated natives like just cardboard cutouts and treated like so many movies do, sadly, Native women as sex objects. I mean, and he's supposed to be. He says he's a Native ally. He says he's for the earth and he's a liberal and for equality. And yet you're doing that. But that's how most of white America thinks. That's been white America from the jump. It's just now we're in a more quote unquote progressive world. So they've evolved in some way, shape, or form of their thinking, but it's still racist, white supremacist thinking, because at the end of the day, racism is still racism.
I agree.
I really liked the Dem exit, though. That was a good thing. That was something that was valuable and actually really produced results. And I really got on that train and rode for a while because it was fun to piss off the Democrats because they're just as bad. And I've been saying that for ages. They're just as bad. This racist government is the same racist government we're fighting, but it's just out in the open. America got exactly what it asked for and exactly what it deserves. Trump.
I didn't ask for or deserve that. That hurts.
Well, the good people didn't.
I'm sorry. But the white people asked for it. They binge watch reality TV. They make these idiotic people, YouTube stars. They just have this fascination with voyeurism. So weird. I don't get it. But he's our reality TV president because we are the reality TV country. And now we're seeing that shit doesn't work. Reality TV is highly produced, and this shit is real life, and it's not working. He knows it's not working. I'm surprised he hasn't had a heart attack.
I think coming from where he comes from in the reality TV business, what he does kind of does make sense, though. It's all about ratings. It's all about shock value. It's all about getting seen. All PR is good PR. You know what I mean? That's what I think he's looking at this as. I don't think he's looking at it as running a country. He's looking at it as publicity.
Absolutely. You're spot on. That is spot on. He's not looking at it like he's running a country. He's looking at it like his ratings. I mean, that's what I mean by saying that whole first part of that speech in Phoenix was all about his ratings, basically, on Charlottesville. I mean, he's looking at it as ratings in Charlottesville. And it has nothing to do with that. He's lost. That man is so lost.
Well, he wants to be in a different time.
That's true.
The rhetoric that comes out of his mouth, and also the things that people who have been close to him, that they've said that he believes or has read or studies, it's straight out Nazism, racism, white supremacy stuff. So
wait. Did you say reads and studies?
Don't forget it's.
Trump doesn't read or study, does he?
Yeah.
No.
Well,
I'm just kidding. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to take it. It's just that shocked me when you said Trump reads or studies.
Good, though. Well, if he's studying something, it's. I've tried to read Mein Kampf, and there's reports that he's read that and liked it. That is poor. That is poor literature. So I guess if he's going to read something, it's something that's lowbrow.
We just need to face up to the facts, people. Is if there's traits in a human being, that the worst traits that you can imagine of putting somebody in power into in charge of a nuclear arsenal and a global stage, Trump has every one of those traits. That's what we need to reckon. That's what you're reconciling. The guy is an absolute fucking madman. He reads from a teleprompter, and the next day, against all of his staff's wishes, he goes and says his own thing. He doesn't give a fuck about anything or anyone. You think he gives a fuck about a wall? He doesn't give a shit about a wall. It's just a slogan.
He gives a fuck about one person, and that's himself.
Himself, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
narcissism of a kind that we haven't witnessed, or I haven't witnessed. I'm sure Gal can give me provide a few examples, but he's the worst. He has the worst traits you could put in that position.
I fully agree, and this is coming from someone from another country who sees this from afar, and people here can't even see it. That's crazy.
He's putting Hitler to shame.
In what way?
In the manner, how do I? He openly goes to war with everybody that disagrees with him. Now, this is in the first 7 months. Is it now 8 months of presidency? Hitler took a few years to get his train fucking steaming. He's a damn. I would put him in the same caliber as Hitler.
Yeah, he's not in the same caliber yet, but he could be if he keeps moving forward with all his plans. I see things happening that could be similar to what was going on in Nazi Germany, just more modern, and in this country. But he's nowhere near there yet. But then again, the way he is rising is very Hitler-esque. The rallies and the blind followers that are like a cult. A lot of things he does are right out of Hitler's playbook, but I wouldn't say he's quite there yet.
No, of course not, because he hasn't He hasn't actually. Do you think he wouldn't round up his enemies and put them in camps? If he could, do you think he would?
He would definitely, if he had a chance. Yeah, that's for sure. And the whole wall thing and the Muslim registry, of course. But remember here that when you're talking about war, Obama, the last president, he pelted people with drones like he was trying to break records, which he did. He dropped, I think it was 10 times as many drones, bombs from drones than George W. did. George W. started a war to avenge his father and give Dick Cheney as much oil money as humanly possible. Clinton was over in Eastern Europe helping out some demonic situations over there. So to repeat myself, this isn't exactly new in the United States. Syria, not new. Yemen, not new. Having troops in Africa, not new. Obama did that. Clinton did that. So a lot of the things that Trump has been doing, past presidents have done, and to this date, not so much war, but Obama is deporting more people, or Trump is deporting less people than Obama in terms of the pace. He's doing it slower than Obama did, even though all those promises about the wall and everything.
We need to raise the factor as well. He's threatened Venezuela. He's threatened North Korea, rightly or wrongly. That's for history to decide. He's bombed Syria. He's destabilized the nuclear deal with Iran. He's just inflaming every hotspot, flashpoint on the planet.
Yeah, he's definitely
the North Korea thing. Yeah, the North Korea thing. To your point, that is that's off the scale. Yeah.
He hasn't got a diplomatic bone in his body.
I just want to state, though, that more immigrants have been arrested, even though fewer have been deported, and that's because they're putting them in literal fucking camps. More immigrants have been arrested under Trump than Obama.
Go. Yeah, and those detention centers are ghastly. They're just ghastly.
Cyber Gorilla just left something in the chat that says Trump, like other presidents, are not in power. The system rules no matter who's in the seat, and that's true.
Yeah, the
war machine keeps on moving.
Trump's cabinet and himself could evaporate into thin air tomorrow, and we'd still have a bunch of problems. The double genocide that Gear's people and my people have been under so long would not end. Things would be a little better, but we'd still be in trouble.
And another thing, I know a lot of people are here because we're going to be talking about Matt DeHart's situation in a few minutes, but that happened under Obama too.
Yep.
Obama punished more whistleblowers than anybody.
And Chelsea, God bless her, since this is a sensitive topic, so anybody listening, turn the radio off for 15 seconds if you don't want to handle it. She attempted suicide multiple times. I think it was at least twice because of the horrible conditions she was under. Her human rights were taken away. She was withheld medical care, and she was going through a transition as a trans person. So That was Obama. That was a black president. That was a Democratic president. This is, same shit, different day.
Yep. It's terrible. We're in a bad situation, and I think, like I always say, the only light at the end of the tunnel is people. Trump is so blatant, so horrifying, and so in your face with it. Unlike Obama and even unlike Bush, that people are waking up and hopefully gonna fight back and not stop, no matter who's in office.
Trump effectively is wearing a suicide vest for your democracy. He is the jihadist of democracy in fucking America. You guys are screwed. He doesn't give a fuck.
I gotta say, because in everyday life, there's nothing happening. It's just pure apathy, other than what I see online.
Well, I'll add to that. My people have been screwed this whole time. That's the point I want to get across. That's the Trump factor. Before he won, people were like, "Oh, God bless America. America's great." Blah 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 blah. Then after he won, oh, wait a minute. But they weren't so much going to, well, America's bad or government's bad. It's just deteriorated. It's gotten so bad. And, folks like me and Gear are sitting back in the back of the room going, where y'all been? Like, we've been yelling for help forever and y'all ain't hearing us. And even now, during the Trump administration, we're still yelling for help and no one's hearing us. And I'll put this on my people to a degree. We did not create this problem at all, but the Kaepernick protests and boycott of the National Football League. We go to the NFL headquarters to protest for one person, which is good. I want Kaepernick protected. I want a bodyguard near him at all times. He's wonderful and we need him. But there is a team called the Washington Redslers that actually contributes to the suicide of Native youth because of the imagery and the embarrassment they feel from seeing all that stuff. The Kansas City Chiefs and the Miami Dolphins are built on a native burial ground. We haven't mentioned any of that yet. None of that. And that is similar to when the resistance, quote unquote, comes up and said, Trump needs to go and the GOP needs to go. Yeah, you're right. But what about the Democrats? What about Congress? What about the system? What about the prison industrial complex? What about the racist education system? It's always leaving things.
That can go on and on. There's so many things that need to be destroyed. But I did, in some people's defense, I did hear a lot of people talking during that Kaepernick protest. When was it, yesterday or the day before? They were saying he stands up for all black people, so we need to stand up for him. So I mean, I think a lot of people.
I love that part. Yeah,
I think a lot of people were looking at it like, this guy has a way to get his message out. People pay attention to him where they don't us, and he stands up for us. You know what I mean? I think that's what a lot of people were there for. I don't think they were just standing up for him. I think they were standing up because he stood up for all black people when he did that. He raised awareness to things people didn't want to pay attention to in the mainstream, how black people are getting murdered daily by police and all this and that. And he did it in a big way. And in a way, I guess, from what I'm hearing, I don't know, me in sports know that I don't have a clue. But in a way, from what I'm hearing, he did sacrifice a lot as far as career-wise for that.
His career's done, yeah.
And that's commendable. And I understand that people, if someone's standing up for a whole group of people and they're a main voice that could be heard, I think that person should be stood up for in a big way. Because he represents the people that he's standing up for. So by standing up for him, you're standing up for all black people. At least that's the way I was looking at their take on it anyway.
I agree with to a point because he needs to be commended, and we need to support him. It's the same, but it's the same thing as I've been saying all show. We seem to be missing the point and the core of the problem. And I'm speaking to the boycotters of the National Football League because of Cap. Like we're more focused on Cap, Colin Kaepernick, than the racism as a whole that the NFL has been committing since they started. And we are only focused on ourselves, even though there is another group of people in as much hell as we are, and since the 15th century has always been. And we're just forgetting that. And speaking of sports, that I have Madden NFL, the video game, and whenever my team plays Washington, I mute the television because I can't hear that word 73 times, for 4 quarters. And that's basically that's my point. It's just, you talk about the resistance and the way activism in terms of anti-racist activism in America, we just seem to be missing the point. Black, green, white, whatever, because it's the system that has to go. It's the system that keeps creating this stuff. It's a system that had Colin Kaepernick have guns in the back of his head by police officers when he was going to school at the University of Nevada. And now he can't play in the NFL anymore because he's honest about what the system does. I mean, he alone, if you listen to his comments, he's talking about the system. He's talking, if somebody asks him about, who are you voting for? I'm not voting for any of these people. They're both horrible. They're both doing the things that I'm fighting against. Yeah,
I didn't know he said that. That's awesome.
Oh, we need to protect him. I love the man. And I've been rooting for the 49ers since I was in diapers. And he's the first black quarterback that I think we've ever had. Certainly first one to start for us. And then you add on to the fact that he is this amazing black revolutionary. I mean, I adore the brother. But I'm just saying, let's not lose sight of why he's doing what he's doing and what we need to do to get his goals accomplished, because they're the same goals that, Marcus Garvey had, that Sitting Bull had, that Sojourner Truth had.
Yep.
It's not supposed to be self-serving, and it's not supposed to be only one group of people. Even if you're talking about a marginalized group of people like my folks, and I just speaking to the anti-nativeness of the black community. But obviously, the main problem, white racism that's the big issue, and black people can't be racist to white people for obvious reasons. We don't have any systemic power, and they're not under genocide by our hand. But it just has to be at the system. The core is the system. It's systemic racism. It affects everything, and then bigotry, like Kiwi herring, like you were saying, Tim. And black trans women, native trans women are in insane, ridiculous, cataclysmic amount of danger. The second they step outside, they're in danger. And I would say the same for any black or native person, or even person of color. But so often, black trans women, native trans women, they're left, or two-spirit trans women are left out of the equation. And I guess to wrap up my elongated point, we need to stop going away from the core of the problem of white supremacy and Americanism, etc., and understand what it is and how to take it down, because it has to be us. It has to be all colored people coming together and all legitimate white allies like the ones on this show right now.
Yeah, I fully agree. That was a good point.
Absolutely. Yeah. We're all fighting the system or the systems in as many ways as we can and as we see fit. Now, me commenting on American history is like you guys trying to teach us to make proper cheese. It's it's difficult for me to comment, but the only thing I can do is just comment on what I see and America at this moment in time. I don't know. Do you guys see this as your most precarious moment in recent history? It certainly feels like it from the outside.
I'm frightened.
In recent history, yes.
In recent history, yeah. I mean, it's the most racist I've seen people in recent history. You know, people are outwardly mean to me, which really sucks, you know. Because I have a lot of white privilege. I'm mostly white. So there's that, too. I understand white people as well, to your point earlier. You know, like, my dad's white. I get it. I have a white side of my family. I see how these people live, but I also have a native side to my family. So, you know, living in both worlds is a really interesting place to be. And I think, imagine if we were united, like all of us united, they don't have a chance. And that's the real fear they have, is that we will all unite. So they will continue to sow seeds of disruption, because that's the only way they can get us to stop fighting them, is to start fighting each other.
Divide and conquer. Hey,
yep,
you guys...
it's the oldest book. That's all I was going to say. It's the oldest trick in the book. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm hoping we can get into this news that broke yesterday about Matt DeHart for a little while. I know it's off this subject, but it's something that's really just happened, and it's really it's upset me to the point where I've just been spiraling in depression yesterday. And I talked to Leanne on DM, but I know Gail has talked to her more, so I was hoping maybe Gail could just tell us kind of a little bit more about this.
Can I, before you guys get into that, can I say goodbye? My phone is going to die, and I'm in the middle of the woods here. So I'm going to go. I'm sorry.
Okay. Bye, Gear.
I'm sorry.
Bye, Gear.
Have a good weekend.
Love you, Gear. See you Sunday. We will be hitting on this subject in depth on Sunday.
For sure. And,
Don't worry.
Gal knows a lot more about it, and I think it deserves a lot of time. So I'm going to bow out because my phone will die. And I love you all. Thank you for having me. I'll see you soon. Okay?
All right,
bye. Bye, guys.
Oh. Hello.
Hello.
Mm-hmm.
Hello.
I'm awake. It's been a long week, guys. You've been making me talk about fascism all week during my nap time. I'm kidding. Yes, we definitely need to talk about that.
No, what it is that Gal's had to work today.
Yes, this is my first Friday. I've actually had to work since last December, and I am crabby about it.
Mm-hmm.
I was spoiled, and today was my first Friday back, and I'm not happy.
Mm-hmm.
There it is.
I have been spoiled. Who the fuck works Fridays? Ugh.
Not Trump. He's probably golfing.
Right. Exactly. Why do I gotta work? Anyway, yeah, enough with the jokes. Okay, so some crazy shit. Just a basic rundown of what has happened just this week. Matt got paperwork a week ago regarding his Canadian prison time, and he had spent 18 months in jail in Canada. And he told his unit manager that his time was credited on his plea deal, meaning that they were going to take that time off from his full sentence, that it would be credited for the amount of time he spent in jail in Canada. But that his unit manager was sending the paperwork to the lawyer. And then Matt got a memo from the head of the operations center for the Bureau of Prisons, BOP, that Matt had started the investigation, which Matt had nothing to do with this investigation. So that was the first lie. And then the memo explained that he was jailed for seeking asylum, which is the second lie. That's not what he was jailed for. He was jailed the next evening after they had turned themselves over to the border law enforcement for the false porn charges that had been sent up from the U.S. So he was already actually being jailed specifically for those charges. And because he was deported for his asylum denial, they're not going to give him his credited time now, even though that was part of the plea deal. So the date of the release has now been adjusted to add those 18 months. And, of course, this falls on the heels of other paperwork that Matt refused to sign because they were requesting that he waive any of his rights to any kind of hearing when they wanted to add extra conditions to his capped plea. So that's where we are.
So that's actually a breach of the plea deal that was agreed with the judge. Because his the time incarcerated in Canada was part of the plea deal. So they're now going against the original judge's ruling. Is there precedent for this?
This is common.
So a judge's ruling is overruled.
So what they're saying, though, no. What they're saying is that the plea talked about his jail time if he was jailed for the false porn charges. Instead, they're saying that his Canadian jail time was based on him seeking asylum. So they're just, it's wordplay in order to fuck him. Welcome to America.
You don't get jailed for asylum seeking in Canada. They're setting up camps for asylum-seeking Americans. That's complete horseshit.
That's where we're at. And I don't really have an and. I don't know. I mean, I do know that this is horrifying. It's just doing anything they can to keep Matt behind bars due to the plea deal.
They're just punishing him for no reason. It's really just vindictive.
It is vindictive. That's what it all is. Now, I mean, I don't know how much those listening have read into Matt's case and followed along with this situation, but it's about to get, it's not about to get, it just got, fucking 10 times worse.
Yeah.
An extra 2 years in prison. Keep in mind, I mean, his release date was almost a year from right now, September.
Reminds me of Leonard Peltier. They said he served all his time years and years and years ago. They never going to let him out. But both of DeHart's parents were in the military, and that just speaks to the indoctrination of American citizens. I mean, the fact, I give him credit, the fact that he joined the military himself, following the lead, and of that, also that all that brainwashing he was given by his parents, he saw the light and did a very heroic thing. And of course, he's sadly paying for that, which he shouldn't have to. It's just awful. You fight back, and that's what could happen.
Does anyone want to give an executive summary as to Matt DeHart's case? Because for those that don't know, they probably don't know what we're referring to. And
I think you should do it, Top. You do the executive summary. You're better at executive.
Also, I know you guys have done a couple shows on it on Top Gear Live. I know Glenn on The View Up Here has done a show on it. I know we did a recent one with Leanne DeHart and the WIDA Coalition. So there's a lot of shows we have. But yeah, definitely check those out. But Top's going to go through it real quick right now.
We're also going to have Leanne on Sunday on Top Gear Live.
So we'll we will get straight to it with Leanne. Hearts and minds go out to the family. I'm with you, Tim. It's like a fucking hammer to the chest when you just find out how spiteful your government really can be. But the summary of Matt DeHart. Matt DeHart hosted a shell, a server, a gaming server primarily, but it was also used for anonymous activities. The anonymous activities in church involved fuckery with Scientology and other campaigns early on in the days of Anonymous. Now, a file was uploaded to the shell, unencrypted in its original version, and it was reported to have details of an anthrax plan of attack on United States soil to stoke up support for the Iraq war, that Saddam Hussein did in fact have anthrax, which was the big news story of the day. In fact, according to the files on this that were uploaded to the server, it was a CIA operation to post spores of anthrax. Was it Capitol Hill? Because a couple of senators were affected by this, and it was sent out in the mail, wasn't it, if I recall?
Yeah.
So Matt had this file uploaded to his shell server. He realised the implication of it and deleted it, and the file was re-uploaded at another time in an encrypted version, but there was certain details of the file that were telltale signs that it was the same file that was uploaded and encrypted. Now, the authorities thought that Matt DeHart was, with his activities with Anonymous, having such information on his shell, believed that he was an information mule, if you like, transporting or trafficking information to at the time, the notorious activist and freedom of information group called WikiLeaks. A lot of anonymous activities at the time were supporting WikiLeaks, Operation Payback, etc. It was all hijinked and important activity. So with this file allegedly on the server, Matt became a person of interest to the authorities. He'd been taken into custody on the false charges of child pornography charges, allegedly photos sent via a mobile phone. They never actually turned up in any witness or evidence submittal to a court or judge, and the police officer, the investigating inspector, I don't know what you guys call them over there, subsequently retired from the job, I believe, and didn't have to be called as a witness, if I recall correctly. So, Matt DeHart effectively spent 2 weeks incarcerated, intravenously injected with drugs, illegal serums of unknown. I think somebody did mention the type of chemicals that were injected into him, but effectively he come out in a almost catatonic state. He was severely had severe psychosis, and in subsequent incarceration since has tried to thrown himself off a bed head first to commit suicide, and was not even fit enough or well enough to sit in front of a judge in a court of law. So he ran to Canada, but first he headed south. There are reports that files have been posted. Evidence has not been given to that fact, so I can't purport whether they are real or not. I personally believe they are, but the files are still out there somewhere, apparently. And Matt attempted to seek asylum with, I think, was it Russian and Ecuadorian or Venezuelan? Or?
I only know of the Russian one.
I think it was Venezuelan, the other, but that's by and by anyway. Now, that was, according to the authorities, that went against Matt because he actually was arrested on espionage charges, although you won't see that in many reports that are out today. What I will recommend is going to read the National Post article by Adrian Humphreys, The Curious Case of Matt DeHart, Anonymous and Free Matt DeHart. Sorry, Matt DeHart at the time. It wasn't Free Matt DeHart, but Adrian Humphreys, National Post, Matt DeHart. There's a 5-section article, and it will just highlight everything that you need to know as the basis for this case and probably correct me in any of my errors. So Matt DeHart was then tried to emigrate to Canada. He was arrested.
Canada.
Canada.
It's a different show. They may not realize it.
But he was arrested. He was held incarcerated in Canada, as you mentioned earlier in the show, to the tune of 18 months. And as part of the plea bargain we mentioned, that was taken into consideration for the amount of time prior to the sentencing and post-sentencing to how much time Matt DeHart would have to serve in prison. Now, his release date is 2018. The implications of this, because we're in 2017 now, that would have meant Matt would have been released within a year. That's now been extended to 3 years. So that's an increase of 300% on his existing time. That's just absolutely fucking criminal. All because some job's worth, the Bureau of Prisons has decided to cause some fuckery. Now, if this was just a case of criminality, as the initial crimes of facilitating child pornography on the evidence that was never ever actually provided, why would the state continue with such fuckery? Now, Leanne and Paul, they've moved state to accommodate the Bureau of Prisons and his release conditions. They gave up everything where they were. They've just set up a new life where they have just moved from, and they tore it all to pieces and moved again to another state that would allow them to accommodate Matt's release conditions. Now, that's in jeopardy because he's not there for 3 years. What do they do in a state where they know nobody for 3 years? This is state cruelty of the highest order, and there's a lot of people like ourselves on the show here today that are rightfully angry. Now, we've mentioned justice or injustice on this show quite regularly. Now, I know from tomorrow the social media campaign is being ramped up. Courage Foundation have put out a statement. You can go and check Courage Foundation Twitter for news, but I do anyone that's listening that hasn't read the article, please read Adrian Humphreys' National Post article on Matt DeHart.
I just tweeted it out, by the way.
Thank you, Nolan.
No problem.
Thank you, guys.
This is so upsetting. You know, when people expose this corrupt-ass government, they punish these people viciously. It happened with Matt DeHart. They're trying to do it with Lori Love. It's fucking sick and it's ridiculous. Like we said before, it's vindictive and there's no reason for it. This has to stop. And this is something that's harder to deal with. I mean, it's like, how do we stop this? Like, we have to, it's, once again, the people are powerless in this damn country.
And that, we've mentioned this before. Governments are restricted in how much money they have as an income because they want to reduce the size of government. Oh, we need a small government. We need to get rid of the EPA or reduce the EPA and scientific studies into saving the planet. But we've got untold and countless amount of money to persecute our own citizens. Endless amounts of money. Why?
Because
it's important to them.
Yeah, they threaten the status quo, which is important to them, as Tim just said.
UK has spent over £15 million keeping an eye on a fella in a fucking embassy with a cat.
Yeah,
£15 million.
I mean, it goes so far. This is nothing new. I mean,
Leonard Peltier is 73. He's been in prison for over 40 years, and it's proven that he didn't kill those agents, even if he had to in self-defense because they were killing Native people on that reservation. But long story short, he's in a maximum security federal prison. He has diabetes. He's 73 years old. He has a heart condition. He has a litany of health problems, and he's in a maximum security prison. All that money being spent to keep him there. And of course, his family and supporters have continued to try to get him in less, like a more minimum or at least medium security prison to give him better medical care. But I mean, Matt, I hope to God that something, I don't know what, but somehow
the difference is though, Nolan, even the people that are against, Matt can't say, people against Leonard Peltier says, oh, he killed cops, he did this, blah blah blah. They can't say anything about Matt DeHart. He didn't kill anybody. He exposed something that could have killed a lot of people, that could have hurt a lot of people, and people who exposed it.
Yeah, I'm just using Len as an example because he's not a young man. He's sick.
Yeah, I know. But
using the money. Chelsea Manning's a good example of that. She did the opposite of killing anybody. She showed the world that, hey, you have a bunch of innocent people being slaughtered by the United States, and it needs to stop. But because the United States wants that to keep going, and wants to kill as many colored people as possible, or wants to get as many resources from colored countries as possible, they imprison her and treat her horribly. It's a miracle that she is still alive and fighting for all of us. And I hope Matt just somehow they let him out and he doesn't waste away for year after year, decade after decade. I mean, he's a little older than I am. I'm 29. It's just that's what people need to get. The country is evil.
They don't give a fuck. I mean, we had an American citizen killed in Turkey for exposing the truth, and what happens? Nobody gives a fuck. Nobody reports on it. Nobody investigates it. Serena Shim, her family's, they can't get her back. They can't do anything, but nobody. It's sickening what these people do to people that are spreading truth or telling facts about what these governments are doing. Even if it's not our government, they'll protect their allies over their own citizens. It's fucking disgusting.
And Serena, Jim, Christmas. And I give you props, Tim. You've done so much good work trying to help Serena's mother and honor Serena's memory, get the truth out. And she was exposing the truth. And because of stupid international alliances that are only really connected because of selfishness, she was killed after trying to get that information out. And it's continued. I mean, it keeps happening. This is a theme from the beginning of the United States. I mean, just bring up whatever example you want. I'll just use the one of, police officers were originally slave patrols, which were slave patrollers, who brought back runaway slaves because we ran away from not wanting to be a slave. And also they were native patrols to kill, harm, or remove native people from white settlements. But these are the authority figures we're supposed to respect and not ask any questions of. The minute you start asking questions, you start getting in trouble. And Matt, Serena, Edward Snowden, Chelsea Manning, all examples of that. And I mean, we can cry about it. And I know someone like Leanne or Judith, Serena's mother, have every right to cry about it, but we can multitask. We can cry and fight back. We can mourn and fight back. Because if we don't fight back, they're just going to keep doing this. You know, we
Yeah.
we have to build an actual resistance, an
Matt
actual resistance.
Matt needs a legal dream team. That's what he needs. I mean, if anyone's listening here that has connections to legal people, lawyers that would take this and help, I mean, we need like all hands on deck here with this. This is happening right now. This is something we can hopefully combat with the right defense. I think it's just we need to come together, put our heads together. I know a lot of Anons are working on this currently as we speak right now. But we need to do this in a big way. We need to show support. We need to get behind this. And there's got to be people willing to fight legally in court to help Matt DeHart. It's to the point of ridiculousness.
Well, I mean, I'll say again, it's always been ridiculous. I think the added media that we are able to have now and have access to, it just really shines a light on it. I mean, this has going on for so long, but we're just able to see it, right in front of on our phone, whether it's a video or a tweet or what have you. I mean, J. Edgar Hoover, who was a freaking FBI building named after him, he told Martin Luther King to kill himself. He said, "Hey, man, kill yourself." This is the most peaceful people to ever live, but because he was fighting back against the genocide of his people and shining a light on the truths of the United States and what's really going on, they wanted him gone, and they got rid of him. And especially one point people miss on Martin, when he started really hammering America verbally and in the public eye, especially because of Vietnam, that was the last straw. It's just like when Malcolm came back from Mecca and he realized, hey, wait, if we get everybody together, all the oppressed people together, we can actually tear this thing down. And they killed him. So at least Matt is still alive. And like you said, Tim, we need some kind of legal team needs to be created. Sadly, we live in a capitalist system, so it's not easy to do. But there needs to be a lot more support for him and people like him, because it's just been like a string of whistleblowers that have done amazing things, and then they have horrible things done to them.
Well, that's the thing with Matt DeHart. I've got no experience of prison, let alone the US industrialized prison complex. But he had a date. He had a target, a light at the end of the tunnel to look forward to. It's gone. They've just moved the fucking goalposts. Mm-hmm. Imagine how he's feeling.
I know. That's horrible. Mm-hmm. It's so horrible. I mean, his family, like you said, they just, what was it, last month? They moved to get set up for him to come home and make sure everything was legal, everything was right, everything was the way the BOP wanted, everything was this way, and then slam, boom, he's not getting out. How fucking horrible and tragic is that?
18 months added to a sentence because of bureaucracy and a definition of term.
It's not even bureaucracy. No, that's just pure
fascism,
vindictiveness.
It's sickening. I mean, I'm sick over this. My depression is kicked up. It's really terrible. It's like I can't even imagine what his family's going through right now and what he's going through right now. I'm hoping it doesn't depress him. I want him to be safe. We don't need another situation like Aaron Swartz or anything. We need Matt DeHart safe. We need him out of jail. We need his spirits up. We need his family to be together again. This is disgusting treatment.
As the image says, don't crucify our geeks.
Yeah, this is just so horrible to me. It's like it. I mean, I was having a bad day. A couple of you guys know yesterday, just off personal shit, and then bam, this whole Matt DeHart shit hit me. I think I was on the show with Gail. We were doing one of the 14 tenets, and it didn't sink in till we were done all the way, and then just holy hell, so horrifying, so sad, so like it's just so bad. I just can't even imagine how his family's feeling and how he's feeling. It's got to be like just a total, just gut-wrenching feeling.
It goes back to what Nolan was saying. This is the system at play. Everybody's fighting. They're in each individual part of the system that affects them. The entire system is rotten to the core.
Yeah, but the people need to realize we all affect each other. We're all connected. And we need to fight this shit with everything in us. Everybody united from every nation. It's a few people running these governments. You know, this shouldn't be the way where we have no say and they have all to say. We should have a lot more say. And if we did, these people wouldn't be in prisons. These people would be out free. And the government, the people that they expose are the ones that should be in prison. But that never fucking happens.
I'd like to talk about Matt's what I know of Matt's time in prison. He's helped his fellow inmates. He's received donations and he shared food and clothes. He's educating his fellow prisoners. He's a model prisoner.
It is important too. Yeah, even in prison they call him a model prisoner. I mean, there's no doubt about that. And the fact that this is being used on him is pure vindictiveness. That's how you can know.
Yeah, the prison guards don't believe the charges he has are true, the bullshit charges they gave him. They nicknamed him
The judge didn't believe it. That's what people need to go read this. I just tweeted out the legal documents from Courage Foundation, and I have other ones that I can tweet out as well from the docket. And the judge didn't believe it. She said there wasn't enough evidence, but they did everything they could to keep these charges on this family, and they ran them dry. And that's what happens in our system. When you have no more money, what happens? You plea.
Exactly. But no, I was just going into what I heard from our last show with Leanne about him being in prison. Like, the guards love him. They don't believe any of this. The other inmates love him. They nicknamed him Computer. He's helped so many people that are in prison. You know, he's like an amazing person. He's like one of the most beautiful people you can imagine. He's just so caring and loves everybody. And it's such a tragedy to see somebody like that behind bars for so long for such bullshit. It's just devastating. I can't express that enough. It's, you know, he could do so much good in the world. He's doing good in the world wherever, you know, he's in prison under bullshit charges and he's helping people. Who the hell does that?
It's like this, guys. You've got a war criminal in waiting in your White House, and innocent human beings are being incarcerated for political point scoring and profit.
Exactly.
That's your system.
I'll tell you, the last straw for me in having any faith in this government or its politics was in January of this year when I was in Washington, D.C. for Leonard Peltier, and I was sitting, I don't know, 1,000 feet or something from the White House at the vigil that I was at every day, from like right after Thanksgiving. And I got an email from one of the people that had been helping with the vigil and supporting Leonard. And she said, and she's not listening because she's in Germany, but I'll just give her a shout out anyways. Nika, you're wonderful, and I miss you. Her name was Nika, and she emailed me. Did you hear the news that they denied his clemency? I'm like, which denied? It's 2 days left on the clock. Obama's not out to the 20th. It's the 18th. She said, no. He signed the denial letter to his clemency. I'm like, I don't believe you. So then I just Google search it, and it's all over the news. And I just became instantly numb. When I saw it confirmed, I dropped my phone and went right to the ground. And it was black president. And to people, the Democratic Party president, you got a man like Matt helping people in prison, helping Native children, making scholarships for them from prison. He's an inspiration to so many people and to his people, the Turtle Mountain Chippewa and Native people all over. But he's going to die in prison. And Barack Obama, who's called his own children, in terms of black children, not his two biological children, he called black children gun-toting criminals. He's responsible for a lot of our deaths, and he's killed a lot of other people and children, but he's going to live out his life and write books and give 200, 400,000, whatever dollar speeches and be happy. And Leonard has to die in prison.
A warmonger with the Nobel Peace Prize. Figure that one out.
Exactly. They give those things. I don't want to say they're completely meaningless, because when I was a kid and I heard that Martin Luther King won one at that time, I was like, wow, dang, Martin, you're incredible. But it's hollow. It's a hollow word. But the point is, it's the system. It's demonic. It's always been demonic. It was created to be this way, to keep cis white males who are straight and wealthy on the top and everybody else on the bottom. And it's got to go. If it doesn't go, all this stuff's going to keep happening. Women are going to be paid less than men, significantly. Colored women are going to be paid even less. Gay people are going to be kept from jobs. I mean, it's just naming random things. The system has to go. It's our only choice.
Yeah, like everything we talk about usually is connected. And it doesn't seem connected, but it's the same vicious system, like you said, Nolan, that causes all this shit. And until we do all those D's, dismantle, destroy, I can't think, decolonize, devastate, disrupt, every one of those things, we need to, it's gonna stay the same, and these tragic things on every level are gonna keep happening.
I just heard
Go ahead.
I just heard within the hour that Prop 66.
I heard that yesterday. I didn't want to tell you yet.
Yeah. Thank you. That proposition was to strengthen the death penalty and really put it back into action, because California hasn't killed anybody by way of the death penalty in a while. And so the California Supreme Court upheld most of the bill. And my friend and another heroic man, Kevin Cooper, is sitting in a cage, virtual cage. And the first thing I'm going to do after the show's over, I'm going to call one of his lawyers and see what the options are, because I remember when that thing was passed, I was scared to death. I thought they were going to kill him like that week, along with some other folks. And there's another innocent brother on death row in California. All the people on death row are in San Quentin up north. James P. Anderson, he's been on death row longer than Kevin. And they said he killed a white woman, which all the evidence says he didn't. System has to go. And that's, I mean, we're called angry anytime we are upset about or the hell that we're under in terms of the colored people. But I know I sound upset. I am upset. I'm upset every day of my life because of this. I'll go to bed crying. I'll wake up terrified just for the sake and well-being of my people. And I include Native people in that because I consider them an extended family. And so many of them have echoed that same sentiment to me, which I'm eternally grateful for. But something Matt DeHart in terms and Chelsea Manning and others with the way they attack whistleblowers. It's this Prop 66 thing. It's just like that. It's demonic. It's just pure evil. And was it 1 in 25 people on death row are innocent? Kevin and James P. Anderson, 2 of those people. They've killed more than a few, to put it lightly, people on death row who were innocent.
Yeah, they don't even care if they're innocent anymore. I mean, they're on death row. It'll make us look stupid to let them off, so let's just kill them.
And then of course some people like Kevin just targeted. You know, Kevin's case was he was in prison for burglary, which he did, and he escaped. And when the quadruple murder happened nearby, the lone survivor was an 8-year-old boy who said it was 3 white or Latino men. Obviously, Kevin's only one person, and he's not white or Latino. But when the authorities saw a black man on the run, they made it their mission to get him. And I'll bring up George Stenny, was killed in 1944 in Columbia, South Carolina. And I've been to that city. It's still racist as hell. Dude, the dude was 14. He's a kid. They electrocuted him to death. And he was innocent.
Yeah, they don't care. They do, you know as well as I do, what they do is, I mean, Kevin Cooper was not the greatest person. He was a pretty bad person back then. But what he wasn't was a murderer. You know what I mean? So they use that against him. Yeah, he should have been in prison for a while, but he shouldn't be having life for murder. He shouldn't be on death row facing execution for his crimes. You know what I mean? That's the thing, and they use that against people. Like any little thing they have, or even a big thing, but it's not a murder. You don't kill people who don't kill other people. You shouldn't kill people anyway. But at the same time, if you're one of those death penalty people, someone who hasn't murdered anybody, and all the evidence says they haven't murdered anybody, they shouldn't be on death row. And people just don't seem to get this shit.
And someone like
I don't
him,
believe.
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say I don't believe in the death penalty. I believe in allowing somebody to live with their regrets for the rest of their lives. If somebody has been deemed such a danger to the public, they should be locked away. If we focused our finances, if we were that serious on crime and public order, we wouldn't waste the billions used to spy on innocent citizens, mass surveillance of everybody. We would target, we would focus, we'd use our resources wisely. So you have to question the intelligence agencies themselves. Why do they need carte blanche of all our information? Why are we spending £15 million on supervising an embassy? Why are fracking protesters frozen with water, protecting their own land? Why do you have military hardware on every fucking in every city as part of the 1033 domestic program for military equipment that's repatriated from Afghanistan? Remember when you sent your guys to Iraq and Afghanistan, they were there in jeeps. They never had armoured protection. But now this armoured protection is on the streets of America. Why? What is going on? Why do you need armoured protection? The money that's spent. Why don't you focus on criminals that do deserve life in prison and make it life in prison? Don't effectively assassinate the lives of political or activist campaigners that don't agree with you. You engage them.
That's not profitable.
It's democracy. So?
That's not profitable.
It's not profitable, and that's where you don't have a justice system. You have an injustice system for the bottom line. Wall Street benefits, investors benefit, local politicians benefit with kickbacks to maintain a high occupancy. It's like your fucking Holiday Inn. Oh, we need a 97% occupancy of our bed rates, otherwise we're not going to make the quarterly shareholder kickback.
Yep.
Dividend, whatever. Totally misdirected focus on what's just. So there is no just. It's not justice at all. Money.
Long shot.
There's a LA Times article about Prop 66 most of it being upheld. Inmates who have exhausted all their appeals don't have much time left. Kevin Cooper is one of those people. That's exactly what everybody on his team, including myself, feared if that thing got passed, and obviously it did. And Kevin, like Matt and Leonard Peltier, Chelsea, have done so much good from behind bars and very secure bars that it just hurts even more. And Tim, I've been to two of these things. I've helped organize both of them. The Live from Death Row events, we did one in LA that Tim helped with. And I remember Kevin saying that the first thing he'd do when he got out, he said he'd be in the streets fighting with us. And
yeah,
he's written so many amazing essays. One of them was actually about Standing Rock and Native and Black solidarity and how we need to be on the same page and how we need to come together. He's so intelligent. He's so bright. It just breaks my heart. And I'm scared to death right now. I think it's like how you were feeling, Tim, this week about Matt, because you've been on this case for a while. It was
a double whammy yesterday when I heard the news. I was listening. I was actually at 7-Eleven before we did our show yesterday on the 14 Tenets, and I had to wait 30 minutes for the police to leave 7-Eleven because I won't go in when they're in there. I'm terrified of them. So I was sitting out there, I was listening to the radio and the news was on, and I heard about that. And I hadn't even heard about Matt yet, and I was going to contact you about that, but then Matt hit, and I was pretty much in tears for a while. And it was it slipped my mind until right now. But yeah, all this stuff is horrible. And like, I'm so upset. I don't know. I just wish there was some way I could comfort the whole DeHart family, but there's no way, nowhere near them. All I could do is DM or call them or something, and that's kind of useless.
No, it's not. Not when it comes to the DeHart family. They appreciate every single one. I just want you to know that, Tim. It is not useless. Yeah. I talked to Leanne. She believe me, it is not useless when you reach out to her.
Support does help, and speaking from experience, just being at low points, and I have a very serious physical disability that I'm able to live through, but also I have to fight through. Support from loved ones does help, and Tim, you've been one of the biggest helpers and supporters. So it does mean a lot, and I just there's a numb feeling again.
So this has all got depressing. I have something to tell you though to upbeat this.
Kick it.
Yesterday, and the show hasn't been released yet, but Tim got a pop culture reference.
Oh yes, Tim.
What was it, Tim? I don't even fucking remember which one it was, but I remembered I was going to tell Nolan.
I told him to ask you because I didn't remember either.
I don't remember either. Good to listen to the show. But he was so shocked himself. He's like, "Damn it! The one time Nolan's not here, I get one."
I know. I was like, "Wow, the world's ending."
I know.
Maybe Trump is the Antichrist. Right. That's the whole ball of wax there. Wow.
The whole show to tell you that. Seriously, and I've been sitting here racking my brain trying to remember what it was.
I would like to know what it was because, geez, that we should all watch that show.
Listen every day to the 14 Tenets of Fascism, and it's coming up.
Yeah. Ugh.
Maybe it's Charlie Chaplin because of the Hitler movie that he did. The one where he's doing a character.
Thank you. I only know Hitler references. Thanks, Nolan.
Hey, they may be coming back in fashion, guys.
Right.
Oh,
they're now using the term woke, just so you know.
Oh, my
woke.
I just tweeted it not too long ago. Retweeted Chuck. Just wanted you to know.
Woke as fuck.
Yeah, it's being used. Here it is. Actually, it was just my most recent tweet. It was speaker at Nazi rally. This is from June 25th. I didn't realize it was that long ago. I don't care. Speaker at Nazi rally talking about how this new Generation Z is so woke. Now woke is articulating white supremacy. Pay attention.
They steal everything from black people and use it for white supremacy. Fuck
that
white
was
supremacy.
The tweet I found it on, was somebody saying that exact same thing.
When we create a word, it has a shelf life of 2 years. That's the max. Whatever it is, for sizzle, woke, whatever it is, it's always, you always have to create something new. A Twitter follower of mine a little while back said, "No, I hate the word woke." I'm like, "Yeah, we gotta create a new word. It's
woken.
Everything
just add an en, woken.
Yeah, woken." Of course, then people start walking. Christopher Walken. Of course, Tim probably has no idea who he is.
That one I actually do.
Oh, there you go. One of the better actors of the last 20, 30 years. Man alive.
Well, we're all depressed.
Yeah. That's the way to end the show.
I just saw news that just made me even more depressed. So, yeah, fuck this.
And we've now got another 10 hours of radio, guys.
Oh, gee whiz. I'll say to anybody listening that please write Kevin Cooper. Please write Kevin Cooper. The support helps. It keeps him going.
Can I ask you guys something? Because maybe other people wonder about this too. like I tell everyone they should write Matt DeHart, Kevin Cooper, all these people. But me personally, I haven't been able to do it because, as many of you know, I'm an angry, negative person that suffers with depression. Like, I don't want to bring anybody down, but like, what is there any guidelines or something? I mean, I don't like. Remember when I talked to Kevin Cooper, I didn't know what to say. Like, I'm sorry for your fucked up situation, man. That sucks.
You say what's on. As long as you're genuine and respectful, you just say what's in your heart. And you were more than fine what you said to him, and he was supportive. I mean, he was grateful for your support.
But to me, it seems like so much nothing to me. Like I don't know. I'm just because I don't know what to write to these people because their situations are so horrible. It's like nothing I can say will make it any better, and that's what always. I mean, I know I suffer PTSD and I have issues a lot of people don't have, but it's just really hard to just even come up with something positive sometimes when you're looking at this situation.
Tim, I know exactly how you feel, mate. The reason why I don't write to anybody is because I'm the guy at a funeral that asks how everyone's doing. I get it. I don't know what to say. I'm just the most awkward social being ever.
No,
I don't know what to say, and if I do say it, it'll be completely horrific and offend everybody. It's like a knack.
Well, yeah, never mind. I can see it. I was gonna try to say no, but then I'm like, yeah, I can see it.
I mean, I get that. I can see that mindset, but Kevin has said, just speaking about Kevin's case, but Kevin said that the support that he gets from the outside and from his supporters, it gives him a lot of hope because speaking on that unimaginable hell that he's in every day, it gives him a little light in a very dark place. That's why writing to him is so vital. Excuse me, and I implore anybody listening to do so. 5 federal judges have preached to this man's innocence. The evidence also proves he didn't do it. First-hand testimony, etc. Write to Mr. Kevin Cooper, number C65304, and then space 4 EB82, San Quentin State Prison, San Quentin, California 94974, and the numbers again right after his name, C-65304, space 4-EB-82, Kevin Cooper, San Quentin. Or if you don't want to go to the post office, just send the mail, send your letter to me, and I'll just send it for you. Get it there, nolanawhack@gmail.com, nolanawhack@gmail.com.
You know, this really bothers me because one of my biggest pet peeves that pisses me off, and this is the one place I'm guilty of it, like I would never ask somebody to do something that I myself wouldn't do, especially when it comes to protesting or doing things, you know, actions or whatever. I know a lot of people will say, oh, you should go do this and that and the other thing and blah, blah, blah. And I always look at it like if I wouldn't do that, I wouldn't tell anyone else to do it. But with the writing, I always do. And I think it's because my PTSD holds me back. But what I'm really going to do, I'm saying this live on the air for a reason so I kind of can be held accountable. I'm going to definitely try in the next couple of weeks to write to both Kevin Cooper and Matt DeHart. And I'm going to encourage everyone else to go ahead and do that along with me. And it's not going to be easy for me, so hopefully it's easier for a lot of other people to do that. But, you know, everyone says it makes a difference, and I'm going to try to do it. And that's my goal, as hard as it may be. Because what they're going through is way harder than anything I'm going to have trouble with writing something, you know?
And everybody tweet your love to Leanne at Leanne, LEANN02. She needs it right now. She needs all of us right now.
Yeah, and can I think Gel, if you could, and Nolan, could you guys DM me the info to write these letters to both of them,
No problem.
the addresses, and I'm going to post them, and everybody else should post them as well?
Absolutely.
Cool. Or just post them and at me, and I'll repost it or whatever. But I think that needs to get out too. I know how to find them, but I want other people to be able to find them. I'm going to ask people to do this with me, and let's all just try to write letters in the next couple of weeks and get them to these people. On that note, anybody else have anything else to add before we end this?
Yes, do not miss Sunday's Top Gear Live. Leanne will be joining us. We'll get to hear from Leanne.
We'll get to hear more about it. I was trying to stick to a very strict... We want Leanne to be able to talk. Let's put it that way.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we're going to learn more about everything.
Revelations abound, people. Top Gear Live Sunday, not to be missed. 4 p.m. EST, 9 p.m. BST.
Cool. Anyone else?
Fucking colonize.
Definitely. So yeah, on that note, please join me with writing letters to Matt DeHart and Kevin Cooper. We'll be back next week, and never miss Top Gear Live on Sundays. And I know Glenn's on vacation, but when he is here, he's on this show as well as on Wednesdays with The View Up Here, which is another awesome show. And I encourage everybody to listen to all three of those, as well as our 14 Tenet miniseries is coming out every day for the next, 8 more days?
I was just gonna holler that in case you forgot it.
Yeah,
don't forget our 14 tenets. We worked hard on that.
That's good stuff, people.
Yeah,
Listen.
it's been getting some good reviews and some bad ones from the racists who always attack us, and who cares? So thanks for listening, everybody. We'll see you next week. And Top and Gel and we'll see you on Sunday. Go ahead.
I was just about to say there's no such thing as a bad review from a racist.
I was going to say that means you're doing something right.
There you go.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean,
love you guys.
All right, thanks everybody. Talk to you next week.